You have been growing your hair your entire life, and you have absolutely no idea how it actually works. What is happening inside your scalp right now will genuinely shock you. Stay, because the next 7 minutes will change everything. Here is the first thing almost nobody tells you. Your hair does not grow from the strand you can see. It does not grow from the surface of your scalp. It grows from a tiny structure buried approximately 4 millimeters deep inside your skin. And that structure is called the hair follicle. Your scalp right now contains somewhere between 80,000 and 120,000 individual hair follicles. Each one of those follicles is an independent biological factory. Each one produces exactly one strand of hair, and each one operates on its own separate timeline, completely independent from every follicle next to it. Inside each follicle, there is a structure called the dermal papilla. This is the command center of your entire hair growth process. The dermal papilla is surrounded by blood vessels, and those blood vessels are delivering oxygen, iron, zinc, biotin, amino acids, and dozens of other nutrients directly to the base of every single hair strand you own. This is why people who are nutritionally deficient, especially low in iron or protein, experience sudden, dramatic hair loss. The follicle is not getting the raw materials it needs to produce keratin. Keratin is the structural protein that makes up approximately 95% of the visible hair strand you see and touch every day. So when you say your hair is growing, what you are actually saying is that your dermal papilla is instructing cells called keratinocytes to divide rapidly, fill with keratin protein, and push upward through the follicle canal toward the scalp surface. That process creates the hair strand, and it happens continuously, around the clock, every single day, in every functional follicle on your head. Now here is where things get genuinely fascinating, because your hair does not grow forever. It operates in a biological cycle. 3 distinct phases. And understanding these 3 phases explains almost every single hair problem people experience. Shedding, thinning, slow growth, breakage, everything. Phase 1 is called the anagen phase. This is the active growth phase. During anagen, your follicle is producing new hair cells at a rate of approximately 1 centimeter every 28 days. That is about 6 inches per year. And the critical thing to understand is that the anagen phase lasts between 2 and 7 years, depending on your genetics. This is why some people can grow their hair all the way down their back, and why others hit a wall at shoulder length. It is not about products. It is not about oil massages. It is about how long your individual anagen phase lasts, and that is written into your DNA. At any given moment, approximately 85 to 90% of your hair follicles are in the anagen phase. This means they are actively growing right now, while you are watching this video. Phase 2 is called the catagen phase. This is a short transitional period that lasts only 2 to 3 weeks. During catagen, the follicle detaches from its blood supply. The dermal papilla shrinks. Growth completely stops. The hair strand is now what scientists call a club hair. It is still anchored in the follicle, but it is essentially dead. It is no longer connected to the nutrients that kept it alive. Approximately 1 to 3% of your hair is in the catagen phase at any given time. Phase 3 is the telogen phase. This is the resting phase. It lasts between 2 and 4 months. The follicle is dormant. The old club hair sits in the follicle doing nothing, and then eventually, the follicle re-enters anagen. A brand new hair begins forming underneath, and that new hair physically pushes the old club hair out. That is what you see in the shower drain. That is what collects on your hairbrush. That is completely normal shedding, and it happens to every human being on the planet. The average person loses between 50 and 100 hairs every single day through this completely natural process. If you are losing significantly more than that, and if the shed hairs are thin, short, and coming out in clumps, that is when you need to pay attention, because something is disrupting the cycle. This is the part of the conversation that almost no hair influencer on the internet will explain properly. Because the truth is uncomfortable, and it involves hormones. There is a hormone in your body called dihydrotestosterone, DHT. It is produced when an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase converts testosterone into DHT. And DHT has a very specific and very destructive relationship with hair follicles in people who are genetically sensitive to it. When DHT binds to receptors in genetically susceptible follicles, usually along the hairline, the temples, and the top of the scalp, it begins miniaturizing those follicles. This process is called follicular miniaturization. The anagen phase becomes shorter and shorter with each cycle. What used to be a 7-year growth phase becomes 5 years, then 3 years, then 1 year, then a few months. The hair strand produced gets progressively thinner and shorter with each cycle. Eventually, the follicle produces nothing visible at all. That is pattern hair loss, androgenetic alopecia, and it affects approximately 50% of men by the age of 50 and approximately 25% of women before menopause. But here is what people miss entirely. DHT is not the only variable. Your scalp environment determines how aggressively DHT can act on your follicles. A scalp that is chronically inflamed, from product buildup, from a compromised skin barrier, from seborrheic dermatitis, creates a microenvironment that makes follicles more vulnerable to DHT activity. An inflamed scalp also restricts microcirculation to the follicle base, which means fewer nutrients reach the dermal papilla. This is why scalp health is not a trend. It is biology. Your scalp is the soil your hair grows from. You can use every oil and serum in existence, but if the scalp environment is compromised, you are working against your own biology. So now that you understand the actual biology, let us talk about what the science says genuinely influences hair growth outcomes. First, nutrition. Because hair is not vital tissue, your body deprioritizes it during periods of nutritional stress. The follicle is one of the first places to feel the effects of iron deficiency, protein deficiency, zinc deficiency, and vitamin D deficiency. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology found that individuals with ferritin levels below 30 micrograms per liter showed significantly higher rates of telogen effluvium, which is the clinical term for stress-related diffuse hair shedding. Getting your blood work done annually is not optional if you care about your hair. It is non-negotiable. Second, scalp circulation. Your follicles need blood flow to receive nutrients. Consistent physical exercise increases systemic circulation, including scalp microcirculation. Scalp massage has been studied with genuinely promising results. A 2016 study in ePlasty found that 4 minutes of daily standardized scalp massage over 24 weeks produced measurably thicker hair strands, attributed to mechanical stretching of follicle cells that stimulated dermal papilla activity. Third, stress management. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, directly interferes with the hair growth cycle. Chronic elevated cortisol has been clinically shown to prematurely push follicles from anagen into telogen. This is why people experience dramatic hair shedding 3 to 4 months after a major stressful event: surgery, illness, emotional trauma, extreme dieting. The shedding is delayed because of how long the telogen phase lasts. The stress caused the problem months before the hair fell out. And fourth, protecting what you have. Heat damage, chemical processing, and aggressive mechanical manipulation do not damage the follicle inside the scalp, but they absolutely destroy the structural integrity of the hair shaft above the scalp. Once the cuticle layer is compromised, the cortex of the hair strand is exposed and breakage accelerates dramatically. This creates the illusion that your hair is not growing, when in reality your hair is growing perfectly well, but breaking at the same rate it grows. Here is the truth that this entire video has been building toward. Your hair is biological. It is not a cosmetic problem. It is a physiological process. The products you put on top of your hair matter far less than what is happening inside your body and inside your scalp. If you walk away from this video understanding 3 things: understand that your follicle health determines everything, understand that your anagen phase length is genetic, but your environment either supports it or sabotages it, and understand that nutrition and inflammation are the 2 most powerful variables in your control, then you now know more about hair science than most people will learn in their entire lifetime. Stop treating your hair like a beauty problem. Start treating it like the biology it actually is. The science is clear. The data is there. All that is missing is the decision to take it seriously. If this video genuinely taught you something new, share it with one person in your life who needs this information. Subscribe if you want this level of science-backed hair content every single week. And drop in the comments, what was the one thing in this video that genuinely surprised you most? I read every comment. I will see you in the next one.